from Pastor Sean Condren Office Television Network. This is Your Path, live, with Bishop Mark, live from Dallas Universal Life Church in Dallas, Texas.
Well, good evening. Welcome to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. I'm your host, Bishop Mark Manning, coming to you live from Dallas, Texas tonight, here on this beautiful Wednesday evening. I have to apologize. My voice is a little hoarse today. The allergies have kind of picked up here in Dallas for spring, and it's gotten a hold of me. So I apologize. I'll do the best I can. Hopefully you have no trouble understanding me. Your Path Live with Bishop Mark is an online show. It's an online talk show, prayer show, whatever you want it to be. This is about you. It's Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. Now, you'll see coming across your screen here in just a moment, you're going to see a telephone number and a link. If you're watching us on this Pastor Sean Condren Office Television Network, you can join us by hitting that link, or on YouTube or on Facebook. And we'd be glad to see you and talk to you there. We can pray with you. We can talk with you. Whatever you want to talk about, that's the link. Or if you're listening on our radio network, the Pastor Sean Condren Office Radio Network, there's a telephone number. And that telephone number is 508-924-5823. 508-924-5823 is also going to be going across the bottom of your screen for the rest of the show. Now, we are here for you. This is your show, but when you're not calling in, we have some things we talk about. We try and have a little lesson for the day. So we're going to jump right into that for today because I think it's important. This is a very special week for any Christian, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So first thing I want to talk about is Genesis chapter 37, verse 1 through 11. And you'll see where I'm going with this in just a moment. But we're in the middle of Lent. We're in the end of Lent, rather. The end of Lent. This is Holy Week, the middle of Holy Week. And I want to talk to you today about kind of what it means to be in the spirit of Holy Week. And I also want to talk to you about what Holy Week is and exactly what it means and what it is. And I know we're in the middle of it, but this is a good time to really catch up if you haven't already and get in that spirit. So let's talk about Genesis chapter 37, verse 1 through 11. Don't forget to call in or hit that link down at the bottom of your screen. 1 second, please. We'll double check something here. There we go. Okay. Oftentimes in the weeks leading up to Christmas, people will try to figure out how to get themselves in the Christmas spirit. We, however, are no longer preparing for Christmas, an extremely important event, but we are in the middle of Holy Week, for which we have been preparing for during Lent, an event that is even more important. Are you in the Holy Week spirit yet? I, for one, have been asking myself this a lot lately. Part of my problem, and it may be your problem too, is I sometimes forget that what the word spirit means in this context. Getting ourselves into the spirit of an event is not just about the emotional connection we have to it, although this usually is a part since we are emotional creatures. Getting into the spirit of Holy Week is mostly about understanding the truth of the event and applying it to your life. Genesis chapter 37, verse 1 through 11 does a masterful job of displaying one of those key truths of Holy Week so we can apply it to our lives. God loves selfless service. So here's Genesis chapter 37, verse 1 through 11. Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. This is the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks with his brothers, the son of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and he brought their father a bad report about them. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons because he had been born to him in old age, and he made an ornate robe for him. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word for him. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he had another dream, and he told it to his brothers. "Listen," he said, "I had another dream, and this time the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. As we look at the family of Jacob, we realize that they were a mess. Reuben had slept with one of his father's concubines. Yes, he had more than one. And Judah had slept with his daughter-in-law, who was posing as a prostitute. Simeon and Levi had abused God's precious covenant of circumcision to murder all the men in the city out of revenge. And now we are introduced to even more problems. Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. This is the account of Jacob, Joseph, a young man of 17. This is all we just read here. Sorry, I actually put it in twice on my notes here. I guess it was that important. One moment, please. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. Talking about what we were talking about there, about the dreams he had and moving on. I apologize. My notes were a little sketchy there. After Joseph reported to his father what they had done, growing up, I was always angry at Joseph for doing this, since I pictured him as a tattletale. I viewed him as this stuck-up snob who was out to hurt his brothers. Looking at the text, though, it gives no indication that this is true. Perhaps Joseph simply gave this report because he valued his father's reputation and wished to see justice upheld. Anyway, Jacob didn't do too much to help matters out. Even though he had seen the nasty side of favoritism as a boy, he carried on the family tradition and did it himself. He ended up loving Joseph more than any of his other sons because he was the oldest of his favorite wife, Rachel. To make a bad situation worse, he gave Joseph a certain coat that symbolized how he was the most loved. And we're not sure what exactly it looked like, but you can imagine the kick in the gut the other brothers would have received every time they were forced to see Joseph in it. It was a constant reminder of how they were not as loved or as important in their father's eyes. And for this, they hated Joseph and could not speak kindly to him. Okay. Sadly, the situation did not get better for a long time. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had." And he tells the dream again about the sheaves of grain in the field that suddenly rose and stood upright, while their sheaves bowed down to it. And his brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of this. And again, he had another dream, just reiterating what we said, about the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowing down to him. And his father and his brothers, again, when you had this dream where your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down before you, making his brothers more jealous. His father kept the matter in mind, is what it says. Now, this was not just your average dream. It's not like when you dream of something crazy happening, like playing for your favorite sports team or winning $1 million or being able to fly. This was instead a vision of God that portrayed what would eventually happen to Joseph. When we went to recount this dream to his brothers, they were not happy for him, but instead hated him even more for it. They were jealous of all that he was receiving and could only think of themselves. Now, that being said, when Joseph had the second dream, he would have been wise perhaps in not sharing it with his brothers again. Yet he not only told them, but he also told his father. Jacob sadly reacted much like his sons, and he was very selfish in his reaction to what Joseph had said, although he did keep the matter in mind for later. So when we hear these stories, including real ones like this, it's a natural reaction to insert ourselves into them. And who do we associate with in this account? I'm guessing probably Joseph. Probably our first instinct is to think, poor Joseph, I understand exactly what he's going through. Why can't people just be happy for me when something has gone well? Instead, they often try and push me down, whether they realize they're doing it or not. I think today we have an especially easy time doing this because the prize of victimhood is so valuable. Guard yourself against this by doing something different. Place yourselves into the shoes of Jacob and his other sons, and you'll see that those shoes fit quite well. You're not always the victim, but instead have caused others to be the victim. When someone calls you out for what you've done, have you confessed that sin, or did you think them a tattletale and a snob? Have you ever played favorites with others because one person could offer you more than the other? Have you reacted with anger when someone received a reward or bought themselves something really nice? You know why we act that way? It's because we're selfish and we don't like serving. Lent and Holy Week teach us that this is exactly the opposite of what God wants. He loves selfless service. And why does God love that? Well, because it's exactly what he's done. If there is anyone in the history of the earth who has a right to play the victim card, it's Jesus. He faced a punishment unlike anyone has ever seen for something he never did. But did Jesus take it out on everyone around him? No. He selflessly served. He never played favorites by cozying up to the authorities. Instead, he hung around fishermen and prostitutes and tax collectors. Not exactly people who would have much influence over his well-being. Nor did he ever get angry that other people received blessings from his father that he wasn't given at the time. When he was at the wedding in Cana, he celebrated with the bride and groom, although he was never married. When Jesus spoke of the lost sheep returning to his fold, he displayed an attitude of joy instead of anger for causing him even more work and more service. So, returning to our original question, how do you get into the spirit of Holy Week? You focus on Jesus and how he has selflessly served you. His love for you is not bitter, nor is it self-serving. And if there's ever a question as to how that's the case, look to the cross. There you witness the tale of your friend who gave up everything for your sake that you might be served. Now God has loved his son's selfless service. He loves yours as well. What a privilege that God himself would appreciate what we do. Because as we are selfless with others, we're not just serving them, we're serving Jesus also. People will sadly go their entire lives sometimes not understanding why they're here. They search for their purpose and are never able to find it. Here is your purpose, though laid out neatly before us. Your job is to serve. And don't think that it always has to be something extravagant. Jesus took pleasure in something as menial as washing feet. If all you're able to find at the moment is to ask someone how they're doing and listen to their story, that's a beautiful thing. Don't forget either how beneficial it is for you to serve too. Just think how much pain Jacob and his boys would have been able to save themselves if they had thought of each other instead of themselves. I've said this before, but it's worth saying again. It's always ironic that when we go out to serve others, we in turn are the ones who are served. Parents, how often have you come home tired from work and just want to relax, but you instead sit down and build Legos with your boys or take the dog for a walk with your daughter? It's interesting how much good this does for you. Or how about when you call up someone you haven't spoken to or seen in church for a while? Often it's odd, but it turns out your faith has been strengthened throughout that chat. God is pleased with such things. So here we are in the middle of Holy Week. If you haven't found that spirit of the season yet, it's not too late. Continue to look at this truth. Now, God loves selfless service, both his son's service and yours. We talk all the time about being Christian and what that means to be Christian. I mean, the definition is to be Christ-like. Well, if you're looking to Jesus, if you're looking to how he served and how he lived his life, then you're doing the right thing. You're living a Christian lifestyle. And I think we just forget so often. We are such a selfish people. We forget that it's others that we're here for. And it's the truth. When you give, you receive. Putting another language, another way to put it, of talking about when you go out to serve, you're often served. That's what I mean by that. When you give of yourself, your time, your abilities, your money, you receive those also. We talk here at my church about being men and women for others. It's a slogan we use here. It's one of our slogans for the church, being men and women for others. And I talk about when I started living a life like that, really trying to live my life for others, not being selfish, but being selfless. Even in my times of struggle, when I needed, I ended up being given. And I didn't really even have to ask for it. It was something I needed. It came to me. And I think that's the truth with when you give and you serve and you are able to do those for others, you don't even have to ask for it. It comes back. And I know it sounds crazy. It does, but it works. There's all different forms of ways of saying this. We're talking about people paying it forward. There's another way of talking about something similar on that line. But here for Lent and for this Holy Week, we're talking about serving, being a person of service. And again, you don't have to be, Mr. Volunteer, out there 24 hours a day working and volunteering. Just saying hello to somebody, just asking how their day's going, just offering a compassionate ear or offering some good advice to somebody is a way of serving. Take time for somebody else. I mean, it's that simple. What are you doing for others today? What are you doing to improve the life of somebody else that you know? And if you don't have anybody you want to talk to, or if you can't find anybody to help, pray about it. God will tell you. I was talking about God being a wonderful leader and father. Well, if you don't listen, how do you know? So you have to pray. And by praying, I mean having a conversation with God. Say what you want to say, ask what you want to ask, and then shut up and listen. If we all just shut up and listen, things will go a lot smoother. And when you listen, you have to act on it. A lot of times God's going to tell you things you don't want to hear. Usually. It's not the answer you want from God. Unfortunately, when we ask him questions. But it is the answer you need to hear. And it's the advice you need to follow. Holy Week is one of, first of all, let me explain something to you. Holy Week is the foundation of our faith. It is what our faith is built on. This time of the end of Jesus Christ's life and the beginning of his new life, of his resurrection, and our new life as well. And the story is amazing, heart-wrenching, sad. And on the other side of the coin, it's beautiful and amazing and glorious. And it's something that I'm so grateful for. And I hope you are too. Holy Week is the end of Lent. We've gone through this time of preparation during Lent and preparing for this week, right? And here we are in the middle of it. There's a lot going on. So what I want to do next, we'll take a quick break. I know it's a little early. We'll take a quick break now because the next part's going to be a little longer. I want to talk about exactly what Holy Week is. We talked about what to do right now, which is being a men and women of service, right? Be giving of yourself, just doing something for others. Now we're going to talk about, in our next little segment, about the 7 days that changed the world, which we're in the middle of right now. But first, let me tell you, you can call in. We can pray with you. We can talk with you. We can talk about this subject or any other subject you want to talk about your faith, about Christianity, about life. Just go to that link at the bottom of your screen. If you're watching on the television network or on YouTube or on Facebook, that link on the bottom of your screen, and that'll bring you here and you chat right live with me right now. Or if you're on your radio network, on the Pastor Sean Condren Office Radio Network, just go to that telephone number that's going to go across the screen as well. And that number is 508-924-5823. You can call if you want to from either way. I mean, if you want to call in, that's fine. 508-924-5823. Or if you're on live with the TV network or on YouTube or on Facebook, you can hit that link as well. Whichever. It's kind of your choice. So what we'll do now, we'll take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about the 7 days that changed the world. We'll be right back. There we go. Well, welcome back to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. 5:30. I'm sorry, 6:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Central Time. Again, apologize about my voice. The allergies have gotten bad. It's springtime here in Texas, and it always gets me. And my voice seems to be the first thing that gets it. I apologize. I'll try to do my best to make myself heard here. Now, we are a call-in show, folks, and that's a great thing because we actually have a caller here tonight, and we're going to go to that right away. I had them holding for a little while, and I apologize, but we're going to go to a caller now. So right now, we'll see who's calling in for us. Hello, this is Bishop Mark.
Hello, Bishop Mark. It's Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing fantastic.
That's great. Well, my back is still bothering me and stuff, so I'm just praying about it. And I go to the doctor for it soon.
Okay, the 14th. Good. You know, I've been thinking a lot. You called in last week, and we prayed for you then, and I've been thinking a lot about that since then. And
thank you so much.
Think about you every
Thank
day
you so much. Oh.
How's the
thank
weather
you so
up
much.
in Lebanon?
Good. It's a little bit cold though.
Yeah, that's why.
And rainy, I think, a little bit, but it's okay.
It's a little too cold up there for me. It's beautiful. It's like right now it's 65 degrees here in beautiful Dallas, Texas. So
oh, that's nice. Is it sunny?
Yeah, sunny and warm, and it's wonderful.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
The thing about Texas is you just wait 5 minutes and the weather changes. So, you know, you never know.
Oh, wow. Hey, I love the new Roku app. That's a cool app. The Roku app.
Oh, yeah.
The new app.
Awesome? For those
yes,
who don't
it
know,
is.
We're on Roku now. We're on Roku on the Pastor John Conner Office Television Network on Roku. And you just download the little app there, and we're on channel 105 there. It's pretty awesome. And there's a bunch of other wonderful ministers and other scripture and some wonderful things on that Roku site. You want to check it out if you haven't done so already.
Yeah, and you're coming in awesome tonight, too. You're coming in perfectly tonight.
Good deal. That's excellent news. We're trying to get it all down. It's difficult. I've never done this before. I've never done live like this and doing it streaming and stuff. It's not the easiest thing in the world, believe me, folks. And to make it perfect for you and try and get the quality we want, it takes some time. And hopefully we're getting that now. And I appreciate you, Debbie, for letting me know that.
Can I tell you something? I have some wonderful news to share with everyone.
Okay.
It's incredible. Well, for a couple years now, Pastor Sean Cudrin Office has been dreaming and thinking about our local farmers market here in Lebanon, PA, and we've been wanting to get a stand for like 2 years. And we've been praying about it and everything, and it finally happened. God was ready and said, here you go. So we're going to have a stand now at the Lebanon Farmers Market starting tomorrow. It's going to be on the weekends, and starting tomorrow, we're going to be setting up now.
Wow. My glasses off, just thinking about that. That's fantastic news. That's fantastic.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Thank you. We're really stoked about it.
I can imagine you are.
Finally everything aligned together and came into place, you know, with our sponsors and with everything.
Well,
and we got lucky.
God is good. You ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, it's true. It took a while, though. See, when I ask God for something, I want it right now, right away. You know, I'm not patient.
It's called instant.
But then, you know what, though? But then when I pray about it and stuff, and I wait for God's timing, and then God gives you know, it to me, it's always bigger and better and anything better than I could ever imagine.
I think one thing we have to remember when we're praying to God is, yes, God does things in His own time, and for good reason.
Yes, He does.
That means it's His. But also sometimes we have to pray for patience, and to pray to have that patience to be able to wait for those gifts that are coming from God. Because yes, it can get tough waiting, but it's worth it. And you're right.
Yeah, it can.
It's so much bigger and better than you ever expected. God is amazing.
Yeah, always. It's always.
I'm so happy for that. That's great news. You got a big smile on my face for that one. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, we are.
Lebanon doesn't know what it's got coming. Lebanon people in Lebanon know very, very lucky to have this man and this organization up there working as hard as they do for y'all. And I'm hoping we're spreading that around the world right now. But y'all are sure lucky to have them.
We are.
You are.
Thank you so much. And Dallas, Texas is really lucky to have you, Bishop Mark.
Well, of course.
And your church.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're quite welcome.
It is an honor for me to be on the network and be working with you all. I've learned a lot, and the congregants here love it, and we're having a blast, and hopefully we're changing the world one person at a time out there.
I think you are.
I hope so.
How are the guys doing? Tell all the guys I said hi.
I will, Debbie. I will. Thank you for calling in.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care. God bless.
God bless you. We're going to keep praying for you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Debbie calling in. Debbie is one of the volunteer workers with the Pastor John Conrad Office Television Network, or Office Network. I had a little trouble with my earpiece. I'm sorry, folks. I keep digging up here. I apologize. She's not wanting to stay in. There we go. Okay. So, there you go. This call-in show. That's not that hard. I'm not that hard to talk to, folks. Talk to me. Call in. There's a number across the stream, 508-924-5823. Or if you're looking on the network on YouTube or Facebook or on Your Path Live with BishopMark.online.church, just hit that button, the link down at the bottom as well. It's going across the bottom of your screen right now. So, what are we talking about already? We're in the middle of Holy Week. The foundation of our faith. This is the reason for our faith is right now. So we're talking about Holy Week, and we talked about being men and women of service and being serving as Jesus did, walking in his footsteps, right? That's what we've kind of talked about so far. So now we're going to talk about the 7 days that changed the world. What 7 days are those? Well, that's the ones we're in right now. And that's going to be about Luke chapter 19, verse 28 through 44 is what we're going to concentrate on for this one. Luke chapter 19, verse 28 through 44. Okay. So last Sunday we began the final week of Lent. At one time, these 7 days were called Passover, as it still is called today by the Jewish people. Now, Christians around the world know these 7 days as Holy Week, the Passion of Christ. It is a week that starts with triumph and celebration and goes to betrayal, condemnation, and death. Then climaxes on Easter Sunday with the resurrection of Jesus, his triumph over death and the saving of all mankind. It is truly the 7 days that changed the world. These 7 days have been a topic of thousands of sermons, countless debates, and numerous books and films. These 7 days have inspired the greatest painters, the most skilled architects, and the most gifted musicians. To try and calculate the cultural and historical impact of these 7 days is impossible. But harder still would be an attempt to account for the lives of men and women who have been transformed by the life of Jesus and the events of Holy Week. And yet, these 7 days, as they played out at the time in Jerusalem, were of little significance to anyone but a few people involved. And what happened? What happened on those 7 days? Well, let's look at these 7 days to see how they changed the world. Now, last Sunday, commonly we had Palm Sunday, commonly known as Last Sunday, commonly known as Palm Sunday, is the first of the 7 days of Holy Week. Now, it's related to us in the Holy Gospels. Jesus rode triumphantly into Jerusalem on a donkey to the shouts of Hosanna, fulfilling an old prophecy in Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9. Shout out and cheer, daughter Zion. Raise the roof, daughter Jerusalem. Your king is coming, a good king who makes all things right, a humble king riding a donkey, a mere colt of a donkey. People were excited. The man they knew as Jesus was arriving in Jerusalem, coming to celebrate Passover and save them from persecution and tyranny of the Roman rule. In the Gospel of Luke, we learn they shouted, "Blessed is he who comes, the King of God's name, the King in God's name. All's well in heaven, glory in the high places." At least what they hoped for and dreamed of and thought. People lined the streets and waved palm branches as he rode in on a donkey. People spread out their cloaks on the road to soften his path. It was a time of great celebration and anticipation. But little did they know that what they waited for was not what they were going to get. On Monday, second day of Holy Week, Jesus walked into the Jerusalem temple, and he found money changers and stalls of animals. This was the great temple of Jerusalem, the place of the Ark of the Covenant, the house of God. The temple authorities had been using the second commandment about no graven images to cheat the people by requiring them to exchange their Roman money for Jewish shekels, thus making the temple a place of profit rather than of prayer. In a great rage, Jesus overturned the tables and ran all the animal sellers out of the temple. On Tuesday, the third day of the 7 days that changed the world, Jesus taught in parables, warning the people against the religious authorities who cheated the people. As we hear in the Gospel of John, Jesus also predicted the destruction of the great temple of Jerusalem, saying, "Destroy this temple, and I will raise it again in 3 days." This enraged the Jewish religious authorities, and they started to plan for a crucifixion of this troublemaker, Jesus. They asked him all kinds of questions, trying to trick him into saying things that would indicate he was a rebel and was aiming to overthrow the Romans. But Jesus stayed quiet and gave them no justification for arrest. On Wednesday, the fourth day, is also known as Spy Wednesday. That's the day we're in today. This is the day that Judas, who was going to betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, met with religious leaders and made the deal to identify Jesus the following night with a kiss. 30 pieces of silver was a going price for the purchase of a slave at that time. Purchase of a slave. On Thursday, the fifth day, in an upper room, Jesus celebrated the Passover meal with his disciples. But he gave it a new meaning. No longer would his followers remember the exodus from Egypt in the breaking of bread. They would remember his broken body and shed blood in a meal that became known as the Last Supper, or communion, or Eucharist. Knowing what was going to transpire, Jesus agonized in prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane at what lay ahead of him in the garden. Lay ahead of him. It was during his prayers in the Garden of Gethsemane that the Jewish officials and Roman soldiers would come to the garden. Judas led the Jewish priests to the Garden of Gethsemane and identified Jesus by kissing him and addressing him as master. Jesus foretold that he would not only be betrayed, but denied as well by his closest friends. Peter, on whom he would found his church, indeed denied knowing Jesus 3 times before the cock crowed, just as Jesus had foretold. The priests and Roman soldiers took Jesus away and imprisoned him. Thursday of Holy Week is also called Maundy Thursday. In the evening, many Christians strip their altars of everything and cover all icons and statues and crosses with black cloth to symbolize the mourning of the betrayal and upcoming crucifixion of Jesus. The stripping of the altar also signifies the seizing of Jesus' clothes and the humiliation he suffered. Here at my home church, Dallas Universal Life Church in Dallas, we have a Maundy Thursday service, which is very moving, held at 7 p.m. in the church. And I would invite anyone who's in the area to come and attend the service and participate in the solemn remembrance of the imprisonment, death, and resurrection of Jesus. It's at 7 p.m. here at Dallas Universal Life Church, where we will also celebrate the Last Supper on Maundy Thursday, as well as the stripping of the altar on Friday. Friday, the 5th day, known as Good Friday, isn't named good meaning pleasant or fun, but holy or pious. Jesus was abandoned by his disciples, suffered through a false trial in front of Pontius Pilate, and was condemned to death by the Jewish officials. The Bible tells us that Pilate had been warned by a dream of his wife that Jesus was innocent of the charges made by the Jewish officials. But the crowd wanted blood, and so he washed his hands, symbolically removing from him any responsibility for what was about to occur, symbolically only. It was the custom during Passover for the Roman officials to free one criminal. Pilate wanted to release Jesus, but the crowd, riled up by the religious officials, wanted blood. So Jesus was sentenced to death on a cross, a sentence which was only given to the lowest and vilest of criminals. He was even made to carry his own cross through the streets of Jerusalem to Golgotha, the place of the skull, where he was crucified with 2 common thieves. There he suffered for about 3 hours and then died. Since Jewish custom required burial within 24 hours, his body was removed from the cross and placed in an unused tomb belonging to Joseph of Arimathea. Many Christians honor these 3 hours with prayers and music and meditation, and Dallas Universal Life Church offers a very moving candlelight service on Good Friday at 7 p.m., where communion is not offered. So 7 p.m. if you're in the area on Friday. It's my favorite service of the year. It's my favorite day of the year as far as a Christian day. It's very moving. It's very special. And our candlelight service is something to be seen. If you haven't seen it, please come and see it. Also, we'll be broadcasting it live on YouTube, on Facebook, and of course on Your Path Live. DallasULC.online.church. DallasULC.online.church. or the Pastor Sean Condred Office Television Network will also have it there for you. Good Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time. So please join us for that. Now, on Saturday, the observance of Lent ends. Jesus lay dead in the tomb, and women came and anointed his body with oils and spices, as was the Jewish custom. The disciples locked themselves in a room, afraid to come out for fear of being imprisoned or killed. No one remembers or understands that Jesus will rise from the dead the next morning. No one understood that when he said, "Destroy this temple and I will rise it again in 3 days," that he was talking about himself and his resurrection. Today Christians often hold an Easter vigil at the onset of Saturday evening as a time of waiting and prayer for the resurrection of Christ. Often baptisms are conducted so that these new Christians may rise with Jesus on Sunday. The practice of communion begins again in celebration of Christ's resurrection. And on Sunday, the final day of Holy Week, on Sunday, Jesus' ordeal was over. The stone had been rolled away. Jesus was alive. He appeared to Mary Magdalene, to Peter, to 2 disciples on the road to Emmaus, and to the 11 disciples gathered in a locked room. His resurrection was proclaimed and our salvation ensured. Easter Sunday is a day of great celebration of Jesus' resurrection and our salvation guaranteed by his death and resurrection. Of course, Dallas Universal Life Church holds a festival Eucharist at 5:30 p.m. on Easter Sunday to celebrate the wondrous resurrection of Christ. And following that service is the Bishop's Round Table, the annual Bishop's Easter Egg Hunt, and a small reception. Please consider coming to enjoy the pageantry and celebrate in the resurrection here at Dallas Universal Life Church. And if you can't, of course, you can catch us online at dallasulc.online.church or on Facebook or on YouTube. So, what have we talked about today? A lot in a short amount of time. I talked quick today, didn't I? Holy Week, the foundation of our faith. What it is, we actually did a movie called Holy Week, the foundation of our faith. It can be found on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com / at Dallas ULC. youtube.com / at Dallas ULC is our YouTube channel. And there's a movie there called Holy Week, the foundation of our faith. And it goes through the first, I believe, 6 years of the church here, the Dallas Universal Life Church, and the celebration of Holy Week and what it means, and kind of shows that how the importance of it, shows what it is. And I think it's long, but it is instructional. It does show really how important that week is, and this week is to any Christian. I mean, this is why we're Christian. It's because of this week. So if you have a chance to check that out on YouTube, there's a link going across the bottom of your screen now, youtube.com / at Dallas ULC. And all of our videos are there. Our live videos, our movies, anything you want to know about Dallas Universal Life Church is pretty much there. Of course, you also go to dallasulc.com and check out our website as well. And we have all that kind of stuff there for you to look at. We are here in Dallas. We are a small church, but we welcome anybody who'd like to come. If you want to come visit, you're in the Dallas area, please check out our Facebook page. Check out our website, dallasulc.com, and come in and come worship with us. Just come visit. We'd love to have you. We'd love to see you. And I think it's wonderful when I'm able to meet people that were watching online and able to come and meet them in person. I think it's wonderful. And I hope you, if you're in the Dallas area, you'll make a chance and come over and take some time and come over and say hello. Excuse me, I'm parched. So, the other thing we talked about Holy Week, about being selfless, about selfless service, right? Lent has been a time of service. It's also a time of introspective thinking. It's a time of looking back at your life and your path that you're leading, the path that you're on, and discovering, trying to make sure that you're on that right path, that you're on the path that God put you on. And sometimes it takes a little nudge. We've got to nudge ourselves a little bit and get back to where we're supposed to be going. And that's okay. That's what Lent's for. That's what we're doing. But it's also a time of service. And we talked about service earlier. It's not always about being, Mr. Volunteer of the Year. Just offering people hello, saying hello, making people realize that they exist. When you're walking down the street, don't put your eyes down to the ground. Look up, talk to people, at least honor them. Look at them. I think I get it that people don't want to be, they're in a hurry. They don't want to be bogged down by somebody else's problems. They don't want to be begged from. They don't want to be, whatever. but there might be one person out there whose life you saved just by saying hello to them. So to me, all the negative that goes with that is worth it. You know, we're all human beings on this planet, and this is a very small planet in a vast universe. And we have got to be some of the luckiest people in the universe to have such an amazing place to live. I wish that we could understand each other a little better, that we're not so different, that all of us are pretty much the same, with some wonderfully different talents and different looks and different abilities, and we could work together more. That would be amazing to me. I think it's so sad that this world divides itself so much. Here in America, in the United States, I've watched over the last 20 years, the political systems just totally polarize people in this country. And that's ridiculous. I can't talk too much about politics because of this collar that I wear, but I can tell you this. The political system in this country does not work. It doesn't. We take 2 steps forward and 4 steps back, either 4 or 8 years apart. And it's time that something changes. And what this country needs is a hero. So hopefully there's one out there soon. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some big changes. It's going to take some people not being happy, but it's going to, in the long run, it's going to be a very, very good thing for this country if we can do it. I don't know what has to be done. I'm not that hero. I don't know all the answers, but I do know that what we're doing right now doesn't work. Sorry to get off on that tangent, but there it is. Okay, so where are we? Holy Week, middle of Holy Week. Look, folks, if you haven't been observing Lent, or if you haven't been really doing anything about it, that's okay. It's never too late to start. So even if it's your first time watching the show today, great, welcome. And start right now. Holy Week is a time of service. It's a time of continuing with Lent in the self examination of our lives. Many people give up something for Lent to remind them of God's sacrifice to us. I gave up. One of my favorite things is I actually call it God's nectar, not God's nectar, which is Coca-Cola. I call it the nectar of the gods, is what I call it. And that's horrible, I know, but I'm a Coca-Cola addict. Well, I gave up Coca-Cola this year for Lent. And you know what? It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. And in fact, I wish it was a little harder, because I want to remember, look, giving up Coca-Cola is nothing compared to what God gave up for us, obviously, right? But it's just supposed to be a little reminder of every day, something that you really like, not being able to do. And remind you that what's going on this time of year, what we're celebrating, what we're observing, what we're learning about. So that's what I gave up, and I get to have a Coke on Sunday. I'll be ready. I'm ready. It's amazing. For the first time ever in my house, there's all these Cokes, and they're not getting drunk. It's amazing. They're just not going away. Kool-Aid's all gone. The tea's all gone, but no Cokes are still here. So anyway, Holy Week. We're in the middle of it. Wednesday. This is Spy Wednesday. It makes me think about Judas today. About, he had a role to play. He had a part to play in this. Unfortunately, he was the one that was to do this, to betray Jesus, and I feel for him. I feel for his soul. What a shame. So, coming up Thursday, we've got Maundy Thursday here at the church at 7 p.m. Friday, Good Friday at 7 p.m. And of course, Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Easter service. So what we'll do now is we will take one more quick break. We'll wrap it all up here coming up. You can still call in, folks. The number's going to be across the bottom of your screen, 508-924-5823. Or hit the link on the bottom of your screen if you're on YouTube or on the television network or on Facebook. Feel free to do that as well. Okay? So we'll take a quick break, and we'll come right back and wrap it all up for today and get ready for the rest of Holy Week. Be right back. Welcome back to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. I am your host, Bishop Mark Manning, coming to you live tonight from Dallas, Texas, here at Dallas Universal Life Church. As you know, we're a call-in show, and we have another caller just at the end of our show here, just in time for the end of our show. And so we're going to bring that caller on right now. Let's see. Who is this caller? Let's see here. Well, I say we're going to bring them on. They're right there. What do I got to do here? There they are. Hi, that's you. Who that is? That's Don. That's our vice president of our board there. Hi, Don. How you doing?
Fine.
How
Afternoon.
are you?
I'm good.
You're good. I've got to hold my earpiece so I can hear you well here.
Get on here.
Where are you?
I'm at a friend's house, and I was just wanting to call. One of them needs prayer, and the other one just is a hopeless case. But I still pray for it. I have.
Okay, you got to speak up nice and loud for me. I'm having trouble hearing you, Don.
I'm saying.
You're at home.
I just want. I have one friend that's had a stroke, and he's having trouble getting his faculties back and stuff. And I've been going over there helping him out, and I just wanted you to pray for him.
Who's that? What's your friend's name?
He's having. He's having 2 stents put in his heart.
Okay, what's his name?
Eric Johnston is my friend here in Dallas that's had the stroke.
Eric Johnson is who we're going to be praying for, right?
Yeah. And then Ty Turner, he lives in New York, and he's been in the hospital for the past 5 days, and
Okay.
they're gonna put 2 stents in his heart.
Wow. Okay. So Ty in New York, and we've got Sean here in Dallas that we're going to be praying for today.
Eric Johnston.
I'm sorry, Eric Johnston. My bad. I should have written it down. Hold on. Let me write it down so I don't forget it again. I forget these things. Eric and Ty. Okay. All right. All right. Don, bow your head and pray with me if you would, please. Father in heaven, we come to you this evening. It is the middle of our most holy week of the year here at Holy Week. And we come in need. We need to pray. We need your help with a couple of friends of ours. Eric here in Dallas and Ty in New York are both suffering from some pretty major medical problems right now, as you well know. And we just ask that your will be done, first of all, and that you offer them some comfort and a speedy recovery. They are they're friends and family of others, and many people care about them. And we want them to feel better. We want them to be able to offer themselves back to the world and be a part of society again. And we ask that you offer them comfort, offer them some hope and some healing, and just make it comfortable and easier for them to make it through these difficult times. We ask all of this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Don, I appreciate you calling in.
Thank you.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. I was trying
to. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah, Maundy Thursday. It's Holy Thursday.
It's on Friday. Oh.
We'll talk later. Bye, Don.
Bye, Sean.
Oh. Don's a character. We love Don. Don's the vice president of Dallas Mutual Life Church, and he's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment with Don around. All right. We're about at that time. Folks, don't forget, tomorrow is Maundy Thursday. We have 2 services here at the church tomorrow. We have a chrism service in the morning, which is a blessing of the oils at 11 o'clock. And then at 7 o'clock, we have the Maundy Thursday celebration. You're welcome to join us if you're in the Dallas area. First Friday, we have Good Friday, which is at 7 p.m. here at the church. Beautiful candlelight service. And, of course, Sunday, we will have the Sunday Easter celebration, followed by the Bishop's Roundtable and the annual Bishop's Easter egg hunt and a reception, all on Sunday. Boy, it's a busy week. Join us. Go to DallasULC.com. Check it out. We appreciate you being here today. Don't forget to be selfless in your service, and have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.